Grand finals time in the KP's midweek madness. One and all, welcome back. We've got an exciting one, a fun one here, and I'm buzzing for it. Did I just see farms that got cancelled? I think I might have, or a weird graphical effect. We've got Mayan Sanity's Anatan in the blue, opening this series with Order of the Dragon, going up against the Kid Voldemar in the yellow, playing as the French. An exciting one here, actually, folks, as we have got a best of 7 kicking off on Hallowed Spring. If you guys are unfamiliar with what we're doing right now, we're running show matches, non-stop pumping them, baby, on brand spanking new maps. We're looking to build the channel, bring in sponsors, get additional revenue so that we can put more of these bad boys on. An absolute pleasure to have so many well-known players to kick this one off. So Order the Dragon on this map, kind of curious. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for fishing straight away. He does. And this is a little bit dangerous. For those that haven't seen Hallowed Spring, to just give a little bit of context, it's a little bit like Himeyama, but actually also quite different. It has the Himeyama type effects, and what I mean by that, for example, is the fact that you've got this pond in the center that happens to have, I think it's 6 fishing instead of 4. You also have this wild kind of gold plus sacred site spawn around the center, so it gives like Delhi a really good timing. And the Himeyama-esque element elsewhere is the limited woodlines. You don't feel very safe here, which is why Voldemar went for French. Aggro civs are going to have a good time here, and because this is a brand spanking new map that the players have not practiced on before, they've actually, both of them played 1 game each collectively. The other cool thing is being the attacker is a powerful tool. When people don't know how to deal with things, being the attacker is the edge. And how the hell are you meant to know how to deal with this in a brand spanking new map? And this goal, we've been having debates on whether it's gatherable or not. I'm curious. I don't think we'll get that deep into the game. Order of the Dragon, though, are going to be on the way up with the Ark and Chapel. French are going to get a solid timing here, though. Although the Order of the Dragon's villages build quicker than standard ones, there's no denying there's going to be one knight showing up in your base before you have a tech up, right? And that's why I'm expecting Anatan to kind of lean fast into a Rax play here with the remaining wood to get a spin together. The middle gold is just decorative. Okay, Kavayu, have you tried dropping villages here to tap the gold? Are you sure that it's just decorative? Yeah, big shout to Kavayu in the chat. A lot of the maps you guys have been seeing in this tournament were created by him. So Arkan, pretty decent positioning, right? Considering how limited the resources are. And this is the other nice thing about going fishing that I like from Anatan is, you don't have to worry about buffing food as much. We are going to get the little V for victory walls here to protect the tree line. These, how to put it, suck. And here's why. The tree line disappears too quickly. Anatan, he had this in his last game on this map where he ended up abruptly chopping through without realizing, and then he had knights flooding in. And re-walling it is kind of pricey. So a little bit of a tricky one unless you super micromanage this to just make sure you're fully concaving and not leaving a big giant gap in your defenses. Voldemar, first knight is already on the prowl. And Rax's reaction feels a little bit slow, but you can see Voldemar hesitates the idea of diving in for good reason, guys. This is why I really think Order the Dragon can do quite well against French, is these French knights can't 2-hit these villages. So to dive in here and round, you might get a charge in, you might get a strike, you might even get the second shot, but you won't get the kill. They'll just walk by. At that point, you're so deep, you're just going to lose the knight. It's not a good feeling. Well, because it's knights as well, you don't have the means to either burn down this dock, so options are kind of limited at the moment. Voldemar is going pro scouts, though. Yeah, we've been seeing a rise in its popularity ever since the buffs, making it much easier to execute. And of course, the French, prime amongst them, right? Spending 248 resources. Wait, no, that's not right. 228 resources, I think is correct. Pretty big discount from what the other civs would have to pay. And on this map, there is just a standard 28 deer. But you're playing against an opponent that's going to play condensed, so you should be able to get all of them here. Easy defensive, the double spear. No way Voldemar wants to hang around for the dive there. I'm kind of curious, actually. Like, someone just mentioned Meditation Gardens. Maybe with some of the spawns you could get lucky. I don't feel like Zhuji would have been a good pick here. That would have been a potential option for Voldemar. And that's because Anatan has the Delhi, right? Like, I think Delhi is the best civ here. Delhi might be a little bit too good here, in fact. So we should have an archer transition coming. Meantime, Anatan probably leaning into Horseman next. You kind of have two choices, right? You rush Castle or you lean Horseman. Considering we got an outpost on the gold, though, I think this is just going to be a Castle rush. He might drop a Stables and build like 2 Horsemen just to be present. But it won't be a long play, right? Which makes sense. The more this goes on, the better the French Knights feel. Speaking of which... that actually looked like a cut through. In fact, if he'd waited just a few more seconds, I think he would have been able to get through there. Damn, mistiming there. That's so unfortunate, actually, for Voldemar. That would have been big. Like, 3 Knights going in like that, no textiles here. All of a sudden, you have kill potential. Probably 2 villagers could die. Horsemen no Gucci versus French? And yes, no. You can build 2 horsemen, and the reason that can be valuable is you keep them reacting at home instead of attacking you. And if you catch the trickling archers, they just die, right? Because those horsemen hit so hard, they basically, I think it's 3 hit, almost 2 hit archers. Deer coming home, and it is going to be the 1-1-1. So Voldemar actually covering all bases here, but that means his initial punch is going to be weaker. Because if he just went Archer Knights, he reaches a mass point where he can arrive faster. Now instead, Anatan is going to get away with the tech. Now, I'm curious if this is a Burgrave type game. It sounds weird, but you kind of need numbers against an all-in. Then again, Knight scaling isn't quick. So I feel like we are heading towards a typical Regnitz. Alright, I should have stuck to my game sense there, man. So the reason Burgrave's really good here is like he only has 1 Rax. He doesn't have much production coming. He's going to need either bulky men-at-arms or additional spears. Spears can work here because Voldemar doesn't have many archers. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if Anatan just continues to pump spearmen in Age 3 after vetting them up. The reason I really like that build is these guys are so tanky and hit so hard. 10 archers aren't going to count them. Right? Look at the damage. 12 damage against a 70 health unit. Meanwhile, they have 180 health. They also attack, I think... Wait, do spearmen attack quicker? I'd have to double check that one. The men-at-arms attack quicker, but I think the spearmen attack the same speed as normal spears, yeah. I guess that was for, like, balancing against Dark Age rushes more than anything else. Their bonus damage is insane, though. Knights are looking for a little cheeky dive in, but the Gilded Crossbowmen already getting queued up here. Villagers will be able to stay alive, and instead it's going to be one of the Knights going down. Luckily gets away before taking another 2 stabs to the Tuski. Voldemar really is just leaning hard into the age now. I don't think the timing is right for this, though. What on earth am I reading on these map design choices in my chat? Boulder Bay is enough, thanks. So Spear Archer's kind of splitting up as well, worries me. You've got a weaker punch than your opponent at this stage if you think about it, right? Castle versus Feudal. But now you're splitting up the punch to guarantee numerically your comparative. And you know, you've got archers coming up here, but guys, it's 2 spearmen. They are about to be veteraned. Oof. 14 damage now, 220 HP. I actually feel like he could take this fight and he would walk away with double the kill value. And that's a good start. Remember, spearmen cost the same as knights. Killing 1 is an even trade if you die afterwards. Man, this is looking grim. We've got Voldemar now switching into horsemen, but there's already men-at-arms, already spears. He didn't really have the mass to fully exploit this yet. Knights are at least peeling to try and go in on the south side. Anatan has reacted quite strongly. Practically his entire army is here, so the Knights might be able to get some hits in. It's going to cost you on the other side. Anno continues to push in. It's just unfortunate the crossbows are so slow here, right? They don't have any charge format, so it splits up the fight a bit. It is buying time for Voldemar. I think actually what's missing for Anno right now is probably a blacksmith play. And arms are going to charge in. Tank the entire army here. Gilded crossbows aren't targeting down those knights. So actually taking a lot more damage in return. Not the best of micros out of Anatan, but Voldemar still unable to contest this. Men-at-Arms just so bloody strong. I can't believe that. That was about as subpar as it gets from Anatan, right? Like, his Men-at-Arms were just basically getting slapped in the face by knights. The crossbows were attacking spears and archers, not attacking the thing that's killing him. And yet, still, it looked like a fight Voldemar didn't want to take. But now repercussions may be on the way. 2 low HP MAA. Crossbows are finally targeting those knights, though. If it turns into a 1-to-1 trade, it's going to be worth it for Anno. Numbers are getting scaled against them. I think Anatan might consider queuing up a Lance-Necked here. There's a lot of spears in play. And you will get it cheaper with the Burgrave. Even just an archership at this point would make a lot of sense, because one big scary thought here is you are about to face off against a bunch of spears. And that dock is just a freebie waiting to happen. Spear Knights continue to dive in. Another Men-at-Arms goes down. Anatan, he's misread his timing here. Crossbows have no defense to assist them. There's one knight they can snipe out, but now what do you do against the archers? Oh my god. Village is now in trouble as well. Voldemar, it looked shaky for a moment. But Anatan, you see how you can afford 0 slip-ups in that early game. I think he just kind of threw away too much of the effective HP on the Men-at-Arms in the initial trade, and then kind of overboomed the crossbows. I get why he wants to do it as well up against knights, but the way this is played out, he's essentially just sending the units in at the wrong time, right? It feels like the knights are getting great times against the Men-at-Arms, then the crossbows too late to arrive. And then afterwards, with no Men-at-Arms, your crossbows just kind of get ran down by Mass Archer. I think we also need to see some blacksmith techs finally. Undermesh is going to get queued up. This is a big opportunity for Voldemar. Starts to march in. Doesn't quite get that villager kill. So we'll back up here. Interesting that he didn't go for the dock, by the way. So I like what I've been seeing from Voldemar. What I'm hating right now is that this fishing is happening, right? It's not being blocked at all. It's an asset to Anatan's economy that is allowing him to afford these really expensive losses. He doesn't know about it, right? There's no way that Voldemar wouldn't have scouted that earlier. Looks like relics are at least going to get intercepted. Great game sense there, Voldemar. Saw the monastery earlier, understood where it was coming from. Meanwhile, Voldy is going to be pulling out onto the board now, so pocket ecos to keep the push going, but love this read. Voldemar now getting ready for the tech up. All he does, the pushing continues. I'll look for a full dive. Remember, the reason you don't want a full dive here is you realistically just don't want to commit the army. You don't want to lose them. You want them as a threat factor. It's in a weird extension of its true self. We usually say, like, keeping a knight alive is better than having him die to get a villager kill, because you can keep idling them. It's the same with the archers here. 7 archers with armor tech would have killed him. Yeah, the problem is, like, that idea is if Anatan had just gone men-at-arms plus, like, archers, knights would have dove past the men-at-arms. I think that's what Anatan was scared of, right? So Voldemar still would have had a way of winning. I agree now. You look at it at this state, like, archers just would have made a lot of sense. Instead, though, he's committing harder in the men-at-arms. Voldemar is going Guildhall, so isn't planning to scale mass knights here, which I think makes a lot of sense. Gilded crossbows just eat them up. I'm wondering, actually, maybe we just see Voldemar adding in, what, Spear Arbitrier? Quick wall up. Does he have an out? Guys, he's stuck. If he doesn't go home now, he's not getting away here. Crossbows able to move in, though, and Anatan already hunting for additional kills. You'll be able to find him. The formation shuffling is not helping here. 2 more villagers go down. Voldemar has reached the castle age as well, but the eco lead that he's building, somewhat getting dented along the way. Especially now that you look at the fact that Anatan has got 2 relics garrison, another one on the way home. So economically, I think it can't really be argued that he's ahead at this stage. Especially when you add in the Arcane effect, the fact that you have to look at this count of villages and add 28% on top of it. Well, let's say 20% because some of it's fishing, and I'm being generous, it's just saying 20. Voldemort is going to those arbitrary we talked about. Just so many men-at-arms here. I wonder, do you actually just consider going for a Mangonel play? A siege transition at this stage from the Order of the Dragon could just kind of win the game straight away. Guys, I want you to think of this not as 15 men-at-arms, this is 30 men-at-arms. They are that powerful. Meanwhile, on the other side, there's 7 units to potentially count, right? 5 knights, only 2 arbitrary. Dive comes in. Archers are going to try to stab around the back of the crossbows. Men-at-arms start to pivot in their direction here. Crossbows already looking on those veteran Royal Knights. This front line doesn't seem to be holding for Voldemort. Archer's finally able to kind of sneak past and start to poke on that back line. But the men-at-arms anarchy is starting to add up here. Arbitrary starting to creep out. He needs to keep them alive. Throw away the archers, throw away the spears, but do not let your crossbowmen die here. Do so at your own peril. Archer's able to shove the crossbows of the Order Dragon out of his base. They should allow him to turn around for a mop-up. 7 crossbows should be good enough to hold this. I think Anatan is now trickling troops towards their death. Yeah, kind of tough here, right? I think Voldemort is just on point in this position. He has enough arbitrary to kind of push him away from this. Anatan has burnt a lot of resources at this stage. At least he does have a decent quantity of farms at home. And in return for sacrificing this army, he is going to reap himself 4 of the 5 relics on the map. But he's also going to start losing some economy soon, right? The Shoreline Fish doesn't have much left unless he sets up a 4 dock. Yeah, you've got 3 ponds here, 3 options here, right? But the distance is going to make you feel very inefficient. Especially when you consider there's an arbitrary army nearby. So Anatan is probably about to lose the effectiveness of about 3 of his eco units. All in all, though, with the damage done, while Voldemort had a great hold there, he is not leading this game right now. I think Anatan is about to go Imperial Age. And if Voldemort doesn't try to attack, he's going to be once again on the defense. And no, the mid cannot be mined. It just looks pretty. Like a gold encrusted pen. That's Horseman. Could be on the way for Voldemort, but with a lack of farms, that's not easily sustainable. Also, keep in mind, the deer got taken away by him already, right? He's already used Pro Scouts. So, it's not like there's all these extended resources to bulk cav with. How did you guys vote on this one, by the way? I'm curious. 53% on Anatan, 47% on Voldemort. Okay. I could see that. And I think it's played out that way so far. Anatan is about to get a leg up, but it's not an immediate win. Right now, I'd rate Voldemort's army as more potent. Like, the arbitrary are that scary. Especially when he's got these techs coming in. So Gambeson's is on the way. Has got the level 2 ranged armor as well. But I think you're just going to see him hunker down. Guildhall is ticking. It's still got some way to go. But it's kind of undeniable that you can't really dive quick enough to stop what's occurring here. Age 4 coming in from Anatan in just a few seconds. The Horseman doesn't even see it. And now these dives get even more scary. I think this is one of the obnoxious things about Order of the Dragon HRE is when they go imp like this, diving can just lose you the game. And the reason it can lose you the game is stone. All it takes is one cannon emplacement to ruin a mass arbitrary push. Luckily for him, there isn't any yet. Unluckily for him, the first one's already been queued up. You know, I wonder if this is just a version of Himeyama that people would like more. The more I look at it, I mentioned it's kind of like Himeyama earlier, and I stand by that. I think this actually just might be a good tournament replacement for Himeyama. And we are wooling like crazy. Good lord. I mean, I guess he just wants the gold? in reserve here. He has got the 8k vein, but it's already down to under 5k. So just looking to secure some stuff on the north side. Meanwhile, Anatan's a bit more chill with his spawn here, right? The 8k as well as the 4. Just already kind of set up. And remember, he had a 4k back here. I would say Anatan cheekily got the better spawn. Like, triple gold on one side. It's better now, but it was worse earlier. And what I mean by that is in the early game against the French, you can kind of get dented here. Oh, wait, Voldemar actually played for the pawn. Oh, all right. This is a little bit late, but hear me out. Voldemar goes for a Sacred Site win condition. You drop the Red Palace on one of these, and then you build Fleet to defend the other. It's kind of a sick idea. Meantime, we have got Voldemar trying to dive into the base. Difficult one to get inside of. Cannon placement is definitely punishing for it. Guildhall in the meantime, now up to 1,400 food, so we're not too far off that point where Imperial becomes viable here. Quite a few of these crossbows coming in now, so it's kind of interesting. Usually at this stage in the game, you think you want to get into hand cannoneers, but I think the issue is just range. I think hand cannoneers are cool, but compared to gilded crossbows, they're worse at trading. And what I mean by that is, like, they have to trade, right? A hand cannoneer has such bad range compared to this, they are going to be in the crosshairs. Gilded crossbows, kind of like longbow massing is the Byzantines, you know it's always the last thing in your army that should be dying. I think he's going to look to push the moment Elite Army Tactics comes in. Elite Army Tactics is kind of bonkers still to this day. It's kind of crazy the more I think about it that it's lasted 3 years in its current state. The reason is that when you think about biology, you think about incendiary arrows, and then you think about Elite Army Tactics, there's a very clear reason why most of the late game armies turns into mass men-at-arms. And it's because of the fact that you're increasing your health and your damage, right? Biology is only health. Incendiary arrows is only damage. These guys get both. And yes, spears as well. It's like, spears are already one of the most cost-efficient units in the game. This just sends them through the roof. Usually, that's why Arbitrary feel broken in late game as well, is because you want to go spears, but you can't. Funnily enough, I think Order of the Dragon can still go spears. Wolf's now being torched. Interesting choice. Arbitrary Archers just targeting onto that backside first. Neglecting to attack the men-at-arms. It allows them to easily gap close with minimum casualties here. Hunters on and Anatan with a military lead. Voldemar not able to easily break away from this either. Remember, these melee units do have the charge, so they will always gap close. Horsemen are going to wrap around the back to try and target fire in here. The crossbows ignore them. Dive comes deep, but that's going to reconvene with the men-at-arms line. A nice stab at the back of this fight, but Voldemar barely has anything left. Cavalry already down. Arbitrary is the last thing that stands between him and defeat. A keep will at least slow down this push. But right now, Voldemar is scrambling an age behind. He's going free TC. Free TC at this point? Oh my god, I don't think he was expecting this type of push point, right? Like, it makes sense when you think about House of Swabia, but think about how weak this makes you in different areas. Voldemar just trying to get into more horsemen now, after now extending the burden on his food supply into villager production. Men-at-arms crossbows truly are in now. Castle, of course, can't be assaulted, but the second TC just feels like it's going to get reaped. The idle time alone. Voldemar, he needs to find a timing to tech up here, right? Sacred Sites were capped, but now that can be addressed. Guildhall is holding onto 3,000 food right now. This is over. I don't think you can even now pull the food and go for attack. It's kind of unfortunate for Voldemar. I think he needed about 2 more minutes to make sense of this play that he's heading towards. It's tough, though, because like whenever you're against House of Swabia, you have 2 choices. You either all in it and you offset the eco advantage entirely, or you mirror it into Imperial. Voldemar just didn't have enough time for it. Hand Cannoneers now getting pumped as well. Voldemar. I'm wondering if he's even noticed now. He benefit from it. Oh, for God's sake. He's actually going for it, guys. I called it. Oh, my God. He's queuing up Gallius's. Anatan really does need to decap this, guys. He's walking by it, just trying to end the game. Or, hear me out, don't worry about boats. Oh, no. I mean, this was a cool idea. I don't know if it ever would have worked, right? Because, like, even if you go character, whatever, I don't think it would have worked, guys. I like the thought process of playing into boats to control these, but I think that play is more viable in Feudal Age, not in Castle and Beyond. And now we have him just finally admitting he needs Age 4. Red Palace on the way. Now, this will slow things down. Guys, Anatan hasn't won the game yet. He's on the verge. He's on the cusp. But if this goes up, he will have to go back and set up Trebs. And he doesn't want to have to do that. Dive comes in. Bombard. The one Bombard to unravel all of Voldemar's plans here. Horseman diving in. They won't be able to get the snipe, though. That means the Red Palace is not going to be a reliable defense. More villagers being pulled. The cannon's done us damage, though. Less than 2k HP on this landmark. And now it's on fire. Bombard is going to get sniped down. Anatan will have to back up. One Bombard almost unravels it all. Voldemar will get the garrison in. He will keep the landmark alive. But he looks completely destroyed at this stage. 59 economy, 23 military, up against 124 eco, and 50 milli. That was uncomfortably close. Clutch decision by Voldemar to pull even more villagers to get that one online, to keep himself alive in game number 1 of this grand finals. But the pressure's going to keep on mounting. The hand cannoneer switch is in because he now has enough men-at-arms to commit to a dive. And not just that, we have the Inspired Warriors tech, which is critically underrated on this Civ for multiple reasons. For a start, damage increase is just insane to 15% on units that have higher stats. The armor is also sick here. But the other thing that they generously done, did he get it? Maybe he didn't get it. There's a lot coming out of this, basically. Like, in general, I think, what was it? Because the hand cannoneers attack quicker than the standard hand cannoneers, and they have higher base damage anyway, I usually say that it's kind of like having a second, like, chemistry tech, and it truly holds up here. Arms in the meantime. Even on these guys, it kind of adds up, right? Like, they have a faster attack speed as well. Meanwhile, keep drop from Anatan. Oh, he takes the gold away. Wait, so this is it then, right? Like, that is down to 1.5k, 4k here, and then your gold dry. I want to see if it's gold heavy. Cannoneers just going to clean it up. Big mistakes made. Voldemar. Crazy that he even tried to pursue that. He's going to lose the mass. Only 12 arbitrary left in the field. Weird that Anatan is still trying to break the palace with bombards instead of just going trebuchets. But then again, he does have the sacred sites, right? So even if the push-in fails, he doesn't need to push in to end the game. Voldemar needs to push out. Guildhall's still on food. Ain't looking good. Cannons, of course, do not have to worry about those Arbalest placements. It's only on the Red Palace where they still range you. Forward infrastructure coming in. Anatan has the Raxus to assist the archery ranges. And that is it. Voldemar sees no ways out, no possibilities. GG called. Game 1 goes to Anachad.